Hey, what's up guys? So welcome back to another video. This one's gonna be a little loud in the background. I'm gonna have the fan on because it's like 92 degrees out here, 54% humidity. It could be worse, but it feels like 100 degrees. I have literally been wanting to do this video for about 3 months now. I've had these parts sitting on my workbench for a little over 4 months, it feels like. So this is what we're getting into the truck today. I'm going to be installing this aftermarket AFE power transmission pan so I can continue to service it without dropping the pan. I'm just going to remove the bolt because our stock factory OEM pan doesn't have a bolt. Oh, at least certain years don't. Shout out to AFE. They actually have an instruction manual with decent instructions in there. I'm going to be throwing in Mercon LV stock factory stuff. Just reading over the forums and recommendations, they were all leaning towards Mercon LV, going factory stuff instead of any other aftermarket. So this pan adds 3 quarts, so I'm actually throwing in 11 or 12, which is why I have 13 quarts. All right, we're gonna need some assorted sockets, extensions to make our lives a little easier. 13 millimeter, 8 millimeter, maybe a few more. Gonna be replacing the factory transmission filter, OEM, go factory with that stuff, and then the general ratchets, BFH, always some shop towels, brake parts cleaner, and then you already know we got the spill mat out as well as a drain bucket. So yeah, it's gonna get nasty. So real quick, before getting into the actual job, just want to go over a few things. And so you may ask, why 30,000 miles right now, which is what my truck has. It's because I was running 37s, I've thrown on a tune. And so between that, breaking it in, I feel like 30,000 miles, drain, refill, replace the filter, and then every other 30,000 miles do the exact same job. Just to keep note, my prior setup, stock pan, stock fluid, I operate right around 203 transmission temperature. I've seen it go up to like 208, 209, I think. So if I see any kind of delineation between those temperature ranges in this same weather and same driving conditions, I'll know that it's actually helping or making it worse when it comes to temperature wise of the transmission. The cooler we can keep the transmission, the better. You know, with the added quart capacity that these aftermarket pans actually provide, it's going to take longer for the fluid and transmission to warm up. It's also going to take the transmission that much longer to cool down. All that said, I'm going to go ahead, get underneath the truck, start removing the bolts off of the transmission pan, and go from there. All right, so I loosened up some bolts, 8 millimeter, 10 bolts. Left side started leaking, so I'm just going to let it slowly leak out. It's a controlled leak, you know, it's better than it all flying across my garage. So I'm just kind of gonna have to baby it, but probably take a couple more bolts out and then let it drain for quite some time. So it's still draining. It's gonna be there for a minute, but one thing I forgot to mention is to open up your dipstick for your trans pan. Open that up, kind of let it vent out. All right guys, so here's the pan dropped. The reusable gasket also dropped. If it stayed up there, I would have left it up there just to make it easier on the reinstall. But here is the fluid. Yeah, definitely glad I am doing this, and this is only at 30,000 miles. Mind you, it's had 37s, that's a little rougher on the transmission, has to work harder, and then you got to think about the towing, the hauling, so that all kind of just puts added stress on, well, that actually makes the fluid go to work. So definitely can be brighter red. Here's the magnet washer, not too much gunk on that. Honestly, that looks really good. So what I'm going to do, since I'm not reusing this, I'm going to go ahead and move on over to the, well, before I do that, let's swap out this OEM filter. There's 3 bolts, 8 millimeter. Let's go ahead and knock that out real quick. Got my handy dandy flashlight. Anyways, there's 1 bolt, there's bolt number 2, and then let me move on over. There is bolt number 3, all 8 millimeter. Don't touch any of this stuff. Yeah, just don't mess with it. Just make sure this is the mating surface for the gasket is clean. All right, so here's the filter out. Top side doesn't look too bad, just oil. Here's the bottom side. This is where you're gonna have some residue. So if you're already down here, go ahead and replace this. So the sides actually have the shorter bolts and the back bolt, facing towards the back, is a longer one. So as you can see here, 2 are on the side, 1 is on the this side right here. One last thing, make sure the gasket comes out. You'll see it right there, or the O-ring. Sorry, I keep calling the gasket. Make sure that O-ring came out, and then also let's go ahead and make sure the O-ring is on the new filter. Alright, so we got the new trans filter out. I did put a line of some fluid on there so that it could just slide up into place. So we're going to go ahead, put this, install this into the trans, and shit, after that we're ready to mount this puppy up. Alright, so the filter has been mounted. One thing I forgot to mention, make sure those 3 bolts are all torqued down to 97 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds. Alright, so we got another bolt, Allen key bolt. If you're, what does this say? So either way, you have to install Teflon tape. That's what they want you to put on these bolts. If not installing a temperature sensor, that would go right here. Use the 5/32 Allen wrench, and then same thing with this. This is going to go the drain bolt. Going to use a 1/2 inch ratchet. Going to go ahead, tighten that down. Alright, next step is installing factory washer. So they want you to still use it, which is cool. Alright, use a supplied washer. That'll go right on top. Line that up just like that, and then they'll give you a bolt. Go ahead and tighten this bolt up, and it'll be a, let's see, I think a 4 size Allen key. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alright guys, so quick note, I did use just a drip of a thread locker on that bolt. Last thing we need is a washer and a bolt to be loose in our transmission pan. So go ahead and use just a drop of thread locker on that bolt. Tighten that up. Here we have the factory reusable gasket. I dried this off, cleaned it up. This is brand new. Wiped the mating surface off. I already did it on the truck side. Let's go get this set up. Damn, this is hard with just one hand. As I lift it onto the transmission, I'm going to go ahead and have about 2 bolts ready to go on each side. Biggest thing for this step is actually tightening up these Allen bolts. Yeah, I'm just going to have a few ready just to tighten it up, just to hold it on the transmission. I'm going to go ahead and hand tighten all of these Allen bolts into the transmission pan to ensure that I'm not stripping any bolts. As I tighten these up, it's going to be in a crisscross pattern, so maybe something like this, over here, you know, just like you're installing lug nuts, securing lug nuts on your wheels. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, made them, and then it's going to be 80 inch-pounds of torque for these bolts. So no, it's not much, don't over tighten them, you got to let the gasket do all the work. Alright y'all, so I have all the bolts lined up, hand tightened all the way in, so I'm going to go ahead, I already torqued them down once, so I'm going to go in a circle now and hit 80 foot-pounds on every bolt. So I literally spent about 15 minutes torquing down all the bolts. Pretty confident in that. Now it's time to go ahead, grab a funnel, get up into the truck engine bay and start pouring. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 10. Alright guys, so I'm using one of these bendy funnels. They come in so clutch when manufacturers design the dipsticks just come and pour out on you. So this really makes it a ton easier. Alright guys, so I finished putting in 10 quarts since the pan increases the amount of capacity for the trans fluid. So I'm going to go ahead, turn on the truck, cycle it through the gears 3 times. Come out here and then measure the level on the dipstick. That's good like that. Reverse, neutral. Alright, I'm going to do that 2 more times, get all the fluid through the gears. This time I'm probably going to keep it in there for a couple seconds. and then go ahead and go check for leaks underneath the truck first, and then go check the level. Alright, I'm just going to go ride the entire edge, make sure I don't see any oil in the bottom of the trans can. I actually like using my fingers, wrap around, make sure there's no oil, visually, but everything looks pretty good. Alright, so I have 3 quarts left. I checked the level, it's still low. I'm going to add half a quart at a time, recheck it, do it again if it needs more. Guys, let's just go ahead and take it out for a test drive. All right, so we're 10.5 quarts in. I think we're good. Right now it's sitting at 145, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it up to operating temperature. It's gonna take a little while because there's more fluid to get warmed up, but I think I'm gonna have to do or drive it for at least a couple weeks before I can give you an accurate review with a change in transmission temperatures. Yeah guys, so between 203 and 208 is where I've been noticing the transmission to be at for the temperature. So I'll drive it for a week or two, normally tow the boat, see what's the highest, see where it kind of changes. Either way, I didn't buy it for lower transmission temps. I think that's just an added benefit, but to be honest, it's the ease of doing the maintenance by putting on that aftermarket pan. Now you could buy Ford Motorcraft pans with the actual bolt, so it'll do the exact same thing. You just won't have added cord cover or an added cord capacity for your transmission fluid. That's another thing. So who knows, maybe that's a little more expensive to maintain, and it'll suit my needs without raising the oil fluid capacity. So what the heck. So I'll probably take it up to operating temp, head back to the house, check the fluid level, make sure I'm good, check for leaks. Other than that, I'm good to go for 30,000 miles. Just check the level, looks pretty good now. Just checked underneath the truck again, no leaks. So it's a very simple process. It is a nasty job. You will get dirty. You're gonna have to expect it. If you don't have one of those spill mats, now's the time to get them. Again, I'll go ahead and post all the parts in the description below. Go ahead and check them out if you're looking to do the same thing. Again, I recommend every 30,000 miles do a drain and refill, and then like every 60,000 miles go ahead and replace the filter again. That'll take care of your 6R140. Very strong transmission, solid transmission. You just need to take care of it and it'll take care of you. If you're not as mechanically handy, this job is not bad at all. So let me know if you got any questions or comments. Please like this video, share it wherever you can, so that my page can continue to grow. But until next time, see y'all.